when you're helping others and when you're teaching and when you're doing your keynotes, do you ever share with anybody a different vocabulary? Because when somebody hits an obstacle and they tend to come right up against it, and they either step back into safety or they push forward. But there's that point in everyone's life where they sit and they say, I failed, I didn't do this, I did. What would be your suggestion for anyone watching this to change their vocabulary, to maybe put it into a positive spin rather than a negative spin? Because I know you keep saying failure, 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 failure. It's eventually going to seep into your subconscious, and that's what you're going to believe. Regardless of how you think you're pushing forward, subconsciously you're not going to be pushing. So your body, spirit, and soul is not involved. What would you suggest to somebody that is really having a hard time getting that concept out of their head?
Yeah, I mean, again, language in and of itself is extremely powerful. One of the teachers who I had the opportunity to learn from, at least through his system, because I love being a student, is Werner Erhard, who was the founder of EST, and that subsequently became Landmark Education. I went through the Landmark program. I got a lot out of it. I mean, I only did their initial programs, the Landmark Forum. I have friends who went through so much of what they teach there, and I think it's a very good system. But one of the things that I took out of the Landmark Forum is really that there is no innate meaning. I mean, we kind of go back to the idea of failure and what that means, and it is really meaningless. And so from a languaging perspective, your internal dialogue is the single most powerful tool that you have that spells the difference between getting to where you want to go and really just staying in a state of complacency or a state of distraction that doesn't lead you towards those goals and objectives. And so it all boils down to being aware. And that is step one, is creating that awareness. Because once you create that awareness that I am having a negative thought, or I'm having a negative dialogue, or I am associating something that happened with X as opposed to just taking it at face value, mm-hmm. and assigning that meaning, that's when everything starts to shift. So in my book, my book Journey to You, a step-by-step guide to becoming who you were born to be, there's two key exercises at the beginning. One is called the vortex of vulnerability, which really helps you tap into those areas of your life that are holding you back and you may not even be consciously aware of. And the second is the vortex of invincibility, which really helps to bring to the surface those areas of your life that serve you well, but you may not even recognize that those areas exist. And so I bring this up because there is a path to freedom. And that path to freedom that again, I feature in the book, involves first becoming very much aware of what goes on in your life. So much of our life, and it just revolves around our subconscious mind. And so much happens that we're not even aware of, and that's a problem. We have to be able to bring that to the surface. And so once you are able to create that awareness of both that which works for you and that which works against you, you then have a choice. And the choice is, let's say it's something negative, you can modify that behavior, you can eliminate that behavior, you can ignore that behavior, etc. But you have to regain control, and that's a huge part of the process, is to regain control and then make a conscious choice about what to do with that information that you now have at your disposal. So language is the same way. And once you understand the language that you are speaking and your inherent sort of implicit cavemanish autopilot response to things that happen. And once you can regain control of that, that's when things start to shift.